Hello there, fellow Jules. Harvey here. I'm about to go to the lab, and I thought to make this a short video. I hope it's gonna become short. I'm not making my sexy voice. I think I'm running with something in my throat, and I'm not sure what it is. Okay, I'm smoking. This is gonna be a video response to Darren Canuck on his video for what did you say? And first of all, I'm smoking 3 Stars Blue from Ivan Reis Tobacco in my no name rosewood Chinese filtered pipe. I'm sure that just what I said and the extreme combination might sound as blasphemy for some of you. Anyway, I have plenty of stories about cultural shock and misunderstandings on slangs and you name it. Obviously, English is not my first language, so there are plenty of cases in which I cannot keep up with slangs. None of them that I recall are funny, at least not for me. But the one disclaimer, very important. This video might contain foul language, so it's not safe for work, especially for Portuguese. So Gustavo, watch out. Or Brazilians, actually more Brazilians than Portuguese. So I have 2 stories. One about this miscommunication thing, and the other one is the funny part. So let's start with the normal one. The normal one was a couple of years ago, I'd say like 3 or 4 years ago. I studied at my lab, doing my I don't know, my regular activities. With the administration call, and they asked me if I could drop by because there was a new student there who was from Latin America as well, who spoke Spanish, and they couldn't understand his English. In all fairness, in South Korea, they're quite biased to the American accent. So I have friends from England and Ireland and New Zealand, even Australia, who have a hard time to make themselves understand here. The guy in question, I'm not going to mention names, we are very close friends, and actually he finds the story also entertaining. So sure, of course, I'll be more than happy to. So I went there. He wasn't from Colombia nor Venezuela, but he spoke Spanish. That's his first language. So I introduced myself and like, okay, what can I do for you? Let me help out here as a translator. So they asked me like, okay, so we need, the administration staff asked me to ask him about, I don't know, the dorm, the tuition fee, scholarship, and the usual stuff. And he had some questions, and I guess the main concern was that he had some questions that they couldn't understand him. So I asked him like, yeah, sure, so what's the deal? Of course, all in Spanish. Okay, and he starts speaking. And I swear of God, I look at him, I was like, what did you just say? they were asking me, the Korean people were expecting me like, "Oh, so what did he say?" I was like, I have not the slightest clue. I couldn't pick up a word. So yeah, I actually realized how much slang you may use and the speed and the rhythm, although we speak the same language. It's sometimes hard to make yourself understand. Okay, so that was a normal story. The funny story actually was back home. Mm. And this is the story that may contain some inappropriate language. So there were visiting engineers from Brazil in Colombia. And this story actually became, actually should have used this story as a funny work story. I do remember. So we're having like 6 visiting engineers who are helping us transfer their system into our company, our research lab, I shouldn't say company. And well, Portuguese Brazilian, I know that Portuguese and Brazilian has some differences, but let's call it Portuguese, and Spanish share the same root, linguistically speaking. That's why, if same with French and Italian, Romance language, Latin languages. Okay. So the beginning of the words are in most of cases common. The ending might not, but the beginning it is in many words. That's why perhaps if I listen to a person speaking Portuguese or Brazilian, Italian and some French, if they speak slow enough, I actually may be able to pick up something. Same goes in the other way. So when I visit Brazil, even if I couldn't speak Portuguese, and I don't know, in the mall they couldn't speak English. If you speak Spanish slow enough, and they speak Portuguese slow enough, you could go around. All right, so we're having these guys from Brazil, and we have in Bogota a small bus that is smaller than a regular bus. It sits at, let's say, about 25 people, bigger than a van, but smaller than a bus that will seat 40 or 50 people. And we call that in Spanish, and this is not a bad word in Spanish, it is in Portuguese or it is in Brazilian, as a slang perhaps, I'm not sure. But in Spanish, in Colombia, in Bogota, this word, it's normal, and it's called buseta. It has like bus and then eta, buseta. To refer not only to a small bus, but it has its own like characteristic. So that's how we call it, buseta. It turns out that 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 word in Brazil refers to, how can I put it in a nice way, to a female part. You got it. So and the other part is the jacket in Spanish, jacket or sweater or suit jacket, we call that, and again that's a normal Spanish word, saco. Saco, that's the word in Spanish for kind of like a formal jacket or a sweater. At least that's the use we have in Colombia. And no, actually, I'm sure that it's actually, if it's not understood as the suit jacket, it's at least a sweater. But we're referring to this suit jacket. Now, in Brazil, saco, it's understood as the male counterpart of puseta. So it was very funny if you were saying like, oh yeah, I forgot my saco in the conference room or something like that. So the first time we said or somebody said something like that, our Brazilians counterpart were like, what? And then when we were in the, I don't know, talking about a buceta or something like that, they were like, what? The the climax of the whole story is that the chief engineer found a bus stop, especially for those kind of buses, the busetas, right? So it was like something like buseta stop. And he asked us to take a picture of him with his jacket, his suit jacket, on his hand. So he was like, I'm gonna post this, I'm gonna take this back to the office and like put a label of like, because it was big, the sign of buseta stop, paradero de buseta. And he was like, I would be in the buseta stop with my saco in my hand. I'm not sure you get it, but it's absolutely hilarious, at least for me, at least for us, and for them. We had a really nice time with that. So that's my story. I should have posted this one as a funny work story, because it's all about how different, in this case in different languages, some words may be used, and we had a blast. Okay, sorry, this went way too long. I'm not gonna record it again. I'm not feeling well enough. So as always, my friends, puff away.